If you have questions or suggestions for future podcasts, please submit them in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. God made us rich. Hi, I'm Dave Arnott, the Christian Economist. Would you like to pay for your breakfast and get 8 free? Want to pay only 3% of your air conditioning bill? How about paying less than 5% of the retail price for a bicycle? Look, God has made us rich by making us creative. In His image and according to time price, you are getting those discounts on just about everything you buy. But first, how did we get here? Made in God's image. Where did creativity come from? Well, for the Christian, the answer is pretty simple. We were made in God's image. Another way of saying it is, we were created by the Creator to be creative. That explanation is well received by my students at Dallas Baptist University. I often wonder how creative innovation is explained at secular universities. See, it's the first part of what sometimes is called the 3-chapter gospel: creation, fall, redemption. We were created in the imago Dei, or in God's image. We are not God. We're not even little gods, but we were made in His image, and we believe that's the source of our creativity. The hockey stick of prosperity. Humans were poor in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Very, very few people were rich, and those are the ones we mostly read about: Abraham, Solomon, etc. But a very large percentage of the population in biblical times were poor. By some estimates, 25% of the first century population were slaves. See, we used to ask, why are people rich? And now we ask, why are people poor? Because such a small percentage of the world's population is poor. People living in abject poverty has been reduced from, listen to this, 44% to just over 8% in my lifetime. That's one of the most astounding economic statistics you will ever hear. So, what changed? How did we accomplish the Great Escape, as 2013 Nobel Prize-winning economist Angus Deaton called it in his book by that name, The Great Escape? Jonathan Haidt has called it the most important diagram in human history, end quote. Don Boudreaux at George Mason University explains it as the hockey stick of human prosperity in a very convincing YouTube video. Where does the hockey stick turn up? 1776. See, 3 things happened in the same year. There was a political revolution, a technological revolution, and an economic revolution. First, the political. Americans know this easily. It is arguably the greatest political revolution in history when the United States declared its independence from Britain. Scotsman James Wilson signed both the Declaration and the Constitution. The second revolution was technological. That occurred when James Watt perfected the steam engine. It was the first form of non-muscle power that could be moved to any location. Third was the economic revolution, instigated by the writing of The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. How about this? All 3 of those Scotsmen, James Wilson, James Watt, Adam Smith, were at Glasgow University from the years 1759 to 1762. Think about walking into a pub and asking, who are those 3 guys over in the corner? Jeez. Would you arrive late for a lecture when it featured a panel of futurists that included James Wilson, James Watt, and Adam Smith? I don't think so. Honestly, I just stumbled onto this amazing providence, and I'm not even really sure what to do with that information. Because of it, I read a book titled How the Scots Invented the Modern World, but it concentrated too much on the military battles and not enough on the 3 revolutions I was interested in. I think there was something going on in their religion, but I don't have the details yet. I know they had been pretty strict Calvinists who believed that their lives were predetermined for them, but somehow the spirit of creative innovation was alive in the mid-18th century in Scotland, and the world is richer today because of it. Time price. How do we measure our wealth? Well, sometimes in my class at Dallas Baptist University, I have claimed that gas is cheaper for my freshmen this year than what I paid for it when I was a freshman in 1973. Until the Biden administration declared war on oil, I was right, but not so much anymore. When adjusted for inflation, the 44 cents that I paid for gas in 1973 should cost about $2.75 today. When President Trump was allowing freedom for the oil industry, that was correct. Now, with gas averaging about $4 a gallon, it's not true anymore. So, inflation adjusting is one way to measure wealth across generations. But a better technique is called time price. That means how many hours of work must a person do to buy a similar product or service in different time periods? The most complete answer is provided in a book titled Superabundance by Marian Tupy and Gail Pooley. And then there are some other details by one of my favorite authors, George Gilder. He included it in a chapter on this topic in his latest book titled Life After Capitalism. Here are a few examples. Now, when you use the World Bank prices and the Conference Board's GDP and total hours worked, you can compare the time price of 50 commodities from the years 1980 to 2020. Look, that's only 40 years. The nominal price is up almost 52%, but the global average nominal wage is up more than 400%. So the average price of the 50 commodities fell by over 75% in those 40 years when you calculate it using time price. Wow, we're rich. A few other examples. In 1902, a hammer cost 53 cents, but blue-collar compensation was 15 cents an hour. When you do the math, on a time price scale, hammers today cost 18 times less than in 1902. Are you getting this? Today you can buy 18 hammers for the same time price that your great-grandfather paid in 1902. Here's another one. Corn derivatives are in many different food items, and this one's personal to me because I had a nice conversation about corn production and prices with a high school classmate who's a farmer. I met him at my 50-year high school reunion last weekend. I guessed correctly that when we were in high school, 120 bushels of corn per acre was a good year. They now make 220 bushels or more per acre. My friend who's a farmer humbly explained, well, it's only a few percent every year increase. Jeez. For the Malthusians who claim population will outstrip the Earth's ability to support us, listen to this data point about corn. Over the last 85 years, every 1% increase in population has corresponded to a 3.3% increase in per person corn production. So, eat your vegetables. Okay, here's another one. How about breakfast? In the 100 years since 1919 to 2019, we have experienced an 854% increase in what is called breakfast abundance. That's based on the 11 items that make up a typical meal. Is population destroying the earth? Well, for every 1% increase in population, we get a 4% increase in breakfast abundance when measured by time price. How about bicycles? You can buy 21 more bicycles today with the same time price that your great-grandpa did in 1910. Said another way, a bike bought today costs less than 5% of what it cost just over 100 years ago. Okay, here's another one. My college students eat a lot of pizza, maybe because just since 1997, the time price has been cut in half. Okay, want to keep cool? For what costs an equivalent of $100 when Willis Carrier made the first commercially available air conditioner in 1902, today in time price, you pay $3. That's a 97% decrease in the price of cooling in just over 100 years. Airfare. Don't want to go all the way back to 1902 like we did for air conditioning? Okay, for airfare, let's drop a plumb line at 2016. Only 5 years later in 2021, you paid 38% less in time price. Flying abundance has been growing at a compound annual rate of over 10% a year. At this rate, we get twice as many flights every 7.22 years. What about the future? When I was a guest on the Fireside Chat with Dennis Prager, his closing question was whether I was an optimist or a pessimist. I answered, I'm the Christian economist. The economist in me is a pessimist. The Christian in me is an optimist. When we understand the powerful nature of our aggregated creativity that we inherited by being created in God's image, it gives us hope. This week, the students in my economics class at Dallas Baptist University were working in small groups. I wondered aloud if there was the equivalent of James Wilson, James Watt, and Adam Smith in one of those groups. Only God knows. But all of them were made in the image of God, just like those three Scots. I'm Dave Arnott, the Christian Economist. Fear God, tell the truth, earn a profit. See you next time. For more information, please visit us online at davearnott.com. If you have questions or suggestions for future podcasts, please submit them online or in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.